in this video, we're going to be going over Johannes Vetter's PR of 97.76. This throw was less than a meter off the world record of 98.48. So we're going to watch it in full speed, and then we'll break it down bit by bit. Beast. Okay. All right. So let's slow it down a little bit here. So one thing that I like about Vetter's approach here is when he's starting in the back, he starts running in place. This is really helpful for being able to stay tall, but getting your momentum going when you're initially starting out of the back. A lot of times throwers will go from 0 to try to go up to full speed. So they're going from 0 to 100 really fast. So it's important to kind of feel the flow and get into the rhythm of things before you start your approach. So then when you're able to start, you're going to start at a faster speed, but it's going to feel lower effort versus if you start from nothing and then try to speed up really fast into your first couple of steps, you're going to feel like you're accelerating really hard. And that's not necessarily what you want to do all the time. So then as he's jogging forward, he's staying nice and tall. Okay. See, he's up on the balls of his feet, and then he draws back, right? Let's see, on the drawback. You see there, on his last running step, he's using that left foot. He plants that left foot into the ground, and then that's when he initiates that drawback. That way, that left foot is bringing the right arm back, and then as the right arm is coming back, the right leg is coming across his body, initiating the first crossover, okay? So that's really important there. Then he's got his crossovers. And you just see how powerful this penultimate is here, where he's really slapping the ground. He's slapping the ground with each of these crossovers. And then, boom, when he hits that penultimate right there, you see that white apex marker on the track. He hits that, and you see how he's just jumping forward where his right leg is coming across his body, okay? So that's really important for younger throwers to note, is that when you do this penultimate, you're not just doing a gallop or you're not just doing another crossover. You are doing a penultimate step, which is the definition of penultimate is second to last. So your second to last step, you're essentially slapping the ground with your front foot, pulling the ground underneath you, and then propelling that right foot and that right leg across your body and gaining as much ground as you can, okay? You might have seen people that play baseball fielding a ground ball in the outfield, and then they're taking a crow hop and then throwing home. They're not just running and then randomly throwing, right? They're going to run, gather, crow hop, and then throw. It's the same thing with javelin. You're running through your crossovers, and then when you gather and throw, you're hitting your penultimate. As the right leg is coming across the body, the left arm is going to mimic that motion, okay? So if we watch, during the crossovers, the left arm is across the body this way, and then the right leg is across the body this way. And then when the left leg starts going forward, okay, and you're not in the middle of a crossover, your left arm is out in front of you. So left arm is out in front, and then left leg is out in front at the same time. And then when we're going through the crossover again, you see the right leg come across the body, the left arm goes across the body. That way you're working in synchronization with one another. Same thing out here, right? You see the left leg is kicking out forward, the left arm is reaching out forward. Penultimate, right leg is coming way across the body here, left arm is now reaching way across the body there. Then when we land, watch. Now the left leg is reaching out in front forward, and look where the left arm is, pointing out in front forward, okay? So his left arm being in sync with his legs the entire time he's down the runway is setting up the tempo for the throw, okay? So that's essential right there. Then you see here, when he lands off that penultimate after he covers all that ground, he has that soft back foot contact. where he lands here, okay? So you can see he's got that squatty back foot contact, and then that back hip is going to internally rotate into the block. And then when that happens, right, you see now the hips are forward, the block is down, and then the arm is all the way back still, okay? You notice the same thing with a lot of elite level throwers. You land, internally rotate into the block, and then when they hit the block, the throwing arm is still all the way back. That's how we're using that kinetic chain, okay? So the hips are now forward, so the right hip is fully engaged forward, the left leg and the left leg and the left hip are facing forward. The core is now facing forward, the chest is now facing forward, but the arm is still back, okay? So that's where you get that hip-shoulder separation, where the hips are forward and then the shoulder is back and separate. As much force from the ground as possible, where the back foot is on the ground, the front foot is on the ground. We're using our hips, our core is stable, our center of mass is nice and stacked here, and then the last piece of the puzzle is that throwing arm coming through, okay? Then what you notice is because that hip got fully rotated forward, because this hip got fully rotated forward into the block there, and then the block stopped his momentum fully, he has nowhere else to go except up and over the throw. So that's where he can't contain himself anymore, because that back hip is fully rotating as hard and as far and as fast as it can, but that block is so stable that it's preventing him from going anywhere except forward. So that's the same thing that I was talking about. If you watch my Jan Zelezny technical analysis video, is when you're here, you watch how he's closed off, right? So he's kind of like his shoulders blocked off a little bit, and then the javelin is back this way. So he's almost in a rotational manner, but then by the time he lands and then gets into the throw, he's going fully linear. So all of that rotational energy then comes to a complete stop as a result of him using that active, strong block arm and block leg. And then that rotational energy then transfers into linear energy, and he's able to have all of his energy go down the sector forward, okay? So that's a really key aspect of Vetter's throw. So watch here from this other angle. He's rotating. And then into the throw, he stops, and then he chases after it forwards. Okay? But that right there is a result of bringing all of that energy and momentum into a complete stop, and then having nowhere else to go with all of your momentum except through the javelin and down the sector and down the runway. So that's a big aspect of the javelin, obviously, is getting your energy linear and getting as much of a horizontal penultimate as possible.